Well, I think you look at it, I wouldn't say it was a tale of two halves, but it was a little bit of a tale of two halves. The blocked kick early, the big kick return early. We kind of turned things around, started kicking the ball out of the end zone, and hit the late field goal early. So, again, we try not to live in the moment of what happened before. We try to live in the moment of what we anticipate to happen after. And so coming back and responding in those situations that are not ideal when you kick the ball off and they get out to the 50-yard line to start their first series is never ideal. And so we gave them some short field positions. Defense played outstanding. Outside of a few explosive plays, I don't know that we were caught out of position very much. We made the biggest plays in the end when we needed to, and they had the ball, I don't know, minute and change left in the game, 2 timeouts, and on first down, they overthrow the receiver to our sideline. Marlins in position to make a play and runs back for 6. And so it was kind of a controlled effort as far as time of possession on offense. We did more than enough on defense. I'd like to see a few more touchdowns in the red zone area, but we bounced back from that missed or blocked field goal. I guess I should say missed field goal, blocked field goal early on to cap with a 40-yarder late. So we'll continue to lean in those areas, but I thought all 3 phases we were victorious today.
What was the approach to the scoring drive that ultimately ended up with Tuna's touchdown? Was there a concerted effort to run the ball right away? How were you guys approaching that?
Well, I think Coach Chape talked about all week. Knowing someone's on the road for 3 straight weeks against 2 FBS opponents, we knew we were going to get warm weather. We challenged our guys to play not just up tempo, but play upper tempo, and so we rotated in a fair amount of guys. We anticipated to get probably 80 plus plays, and we ended up with I think 90 as we speak. And so 90 in this day and age is about 100, 105. Before the first down or the non-stoppage on first down. And so we moved the ball very effectively, 20-20. It's just now getting in those and short situations. We could have done more with it. We didn't. It's a good football team. That's going to happen against good football teams. You're not just going to pull away every time you feel like you're going to pull away. They're going to make some plays too. We'll look at the tape and see what we could have done better and see what they took away from us. But, you talk about Kakoa and what he did on the day. He's not a game manager. He's a calculated risk taker, and he probably takes more risks than I would have hoped. But that's how he's going to play his best ball at the end of the day. And so he's going to make some plays that guys just aren't going to be able to make. And we've seen those guys around here for a better part of 2 decades, and they didn't wear number 0. So he follows in the footsteps of a lot of guys that come before him. But 353 passing yards, 34-48. I don't know if efficient isn't a word. I don't know what is. Created a couple on his own when the pocket collapsed, and again we had a run game that allowed us 177 yards. So we did a really good job with our up-tempo offense. We tried to make the game easy for 0, and he ran that offense about as efficiently as he could. Especially 20-20. We just got to look at some things offensively and get some red zone solutions. At times we get those, like I said, and shorts or those must move the chain situations.
Soren's got, I think, 3 made field goals this year. He's missed 2, but they were both blocked. So I'm curious, what's your confidence level in the kicking game, and what's his level as far as
you would never know if you asked him. He may not. He may give you the blank stare. You wouldn't know if he won the lotto or he missed a game when he kicked, which is kind of good. I mean, much like we talked about quarterbacks kind of being unflappable. You're not really going to know what's going on, which can bother you at times, but is good in others. We got to shore up some stuff on the unit, and we got to look at personnel. We got to look at operation times. Like I told Paul, it's a combination of both. Ball flight is usually pretty good with Soren. He gets the ball up. Our holder, we trust Efton Chisholm a lot as a holder. So as long as we get it back there in that 1-3, 1-3-5 range, that ball should be up and through the uprights, but we got to give it a chance, and that's the biggest deal. We've had 2 blocked in 3 games. I don't want an issue to become a problem, nor does anybody. And so we got to look at some personnel stuff and see if we can't make that more efficient when we get out there, because we do trust Soren. We do trust the kick game. We are stronger kicking off the ball with Jackson Cleaver, and if we're better with 2 different kickers in those 2 different spots, then that's what we're going to continue to do. So. We'll continue to look and lean into that, but obviously it's gonna be something we're gonna lean on at some point, which we did today. But it wasn't game winner fashion; it was game go up fashion, and so we got to look at some of those things and correct some of those
What does it mean
errors.
Sorry.
You're good.
What does it mean just to win front of the home crowd here, first time they're seeing you guys this year, and to put up a performance like that?
Well, it's awesome. I mean, these kids will probably. I mean, this is what they worked all offseason for. Expected it to happen in Minneapolis, didn't. Expected it to happen at Fresno, and late it didn't, and it did today. And so now the response is, okay, you responded from 2 losses. How do you respond after a win? That to me is what we're going to tell you next Saturday, and it's not going to happen Saturday. It's going to happen Sunday through Friday. So I'm curious to see too, because we've never won and then played a next game here. We've lost and played a next game. We've responded really well in 2 of those, but I want to see what we do in response to a win on the road in Davis in league play. I mean, now all of a sudden the stakes rise. So. Feel good, but feel good for 24 hours. That's the cap. That's the max. It's done, over with. Don't feel too good after that because we got to prep for the next one. That's when it really, really, really counts. But if we can play in all 3 phases like we did today in all of these 8 league games, we will have a chance, more than a chance. But that's to be determined. So we're going to live in the moment and be excited about these guys, hug these guys. But again, by tomorrow night at midnight, it's done. We're on to the next.
Are you seeing that growth, though? Because you mentioned the Fresno State game, and that was a close loss, but now the poise they showed down the stretch, and this one, just the whole change of that now, it seems like they've advanced now from one week to the next.
Yeah, I mean, it helps going down, getting up, and then backing that up with a pick 6. But I would say our poise after that pick 6 was a little over the top, and it is the hardest in sports when a big play happens not to have 70 of the 75 guys, because God knows the specialists are just sitting in their horseshoe not doing anything but cheering. But there's a lot of people that enter the field. I mean, we probably could have got called for about 42 men on the field instead of 12. So those are some things that are not between the lines, from a statistical standpoint, that we've got to do better at to be able to keep our emotions in check when those things happen. Be happy, but like a couple guys said, hey, I want to celebrate with my brother. Well, wait till your brother gets off the field and then celebrate. For some reason, we think that celebration is that much more explosive when we're out on the field. And so those are the questions that I get asked. I prefer not to answer those questions, but I certainly will. But it's a lot easier when you're on the winning side of things to answer those. But between the lines, 11-on-11 football, we did show poise. We did make plays. We did work the clock down enough in the situation to give them just enough time, because we could have left 2 and change on the clock and probably leans into advantage of them going the distance. But all day long, the defense bowed up and showed up, and it was impressive outside a couple big plays. And trick plays. We played some pretty sound football on defense. So the guys are ready. Now we'll see how ready they are and respond after a win.
I have an offensive line question. So Matt came in for a few series and played left tackle, and that kind of shifted things around. I think you did that against North Dakota State too.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what's the thinking there? What are you trying to do with that?
Well, it happened. Started about 10 years ago. Where the age-old deal is you play 5 and let the wheels fall off those 5, and if one wheel falls off, then you bring someone else in. We got to get guys ready, and Matt's an experienced player. We got to have 6 to 8 guys who can play, and the more position flexibility we have, the more we can bounce White Hansen inside. Give Luke Dahlgren a blow, give Brendan Rivera a blow. So it's not just in and one off. It's kind of we shuffle the deck a little bit. And if you play cards, sometimes you ask for the honorary shuffle of the deck just to shake the things up, because sometimes you need a spark, and sometimes not a quarterback or receiver or running back. Sometimes it's an old lineman. But we've got probably 7, 8 guys we feel good about. And like I said a couple weeks ago, we got to find 9 and 10 because you travel with 10. We got to feel really good about 9 and 10 because chances are we're probably going to lean on 9 and 10 at some point throughout the season. So it gives us, with the position flexibility, to be able to bump guys around. And if you're just a tackle, you might wait a long time. But if you can swing tackle to tackle or guard to tackle or inside, outside, the better off you are, the better off we are. So we're going to continue to create competition. And, Matt's one of those guys that is he may not be classified as a starter, but he has starter written all over him. So it's kind of 1A and 1B.